Today we're going to be dividing a whole number by a fraction, which is going to sound kind of similar when we look at it, but I'm going to explain to you the differences in what we're doing as compared to yesterday, okay? So yesterday, if we were to look at this problem, we might say that there are 6 friends sharing 3 sandwiches, okay? So we would say if there were 6 friends sharing 3 sandwiches, remember the 3 would go first, and we would divide it by the 6 friends, and that we could write that as a fraction, which would be 3 over 6. Okay, and so that would be, if it's a fraction, that's just our answer. If it was an improper fraction, we would have to actually divide 3 by 6 to see what we'd get. So if we were sharing 3 sandwiches with 6 people, each person would get 3/6 of a sandwich, which actually would be the same thing as a half of a sandwich, okay? So that's kind of what we did yesterday. So what we're going to do today might sound a little bit similar, but there's a significant difference. So let's say today I have 3 sandwiches. So I'm still going to be dividing the 3 sandwiches. But what I want to do is I just want to cut the sandwiches in half. If I cut the sandwiches in half, how many pieces am I going to get? So I'm going to do 3 divided by 1/2. So here's the difference. I'm not splitting it among 6 people. I'm cutting it into pieces because a fraction's a piece. And so I'm cutting it into pieces that are a half. So if I have 3 sandwiches, I want to know how many halves can I make. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to cut my roast beef sandwiches with lettuce, pickle, and tomato in half, in half, and in half. So how many halves can I make? So your answer is actually going to be a whole number because you're going to be counting the number of pieces that you've made. So if I cut my sandwiches in half, I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. So 3 cut in half is going to make 6 pieces, okay? So I have a half here, 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 a half here for a total of 6 of them, okay? So let's take a look at another. And these problems always seem to work really well with something like food because food is something that we can split. Because remember, when you're dividing in real life, you're only going to be dividing things that actually can be divided in real life or should be divided in real life. Like we're not going to cut cars in half or houses in half. It doesn't make sense, okay? So food's always a good example. It could be paper. Okay, let's say we're doing a project. Let's say we're doing an origami project. And I have 12 by 12 paper, like those big pieces of scrapbook paper. And to do the origami, you only need 1/4 of that piece of paper. So I can take that big 12 by 12 piece of paper and I can cut it into 4 pieces. So if I want to figure out how many fourths I have, so I have 4 pieces of paper. I say, okay, I've got 4 pieces of paper. And in order to do this project, I need to cut each piece of paper into 4 pieces. So I'm going to cut them into fourths. So I'm going to divide my 4 pieces of paper into fourths. So I want to know if I do that, how many fourths can I make? Because that would let me know how many students will be able to do the project, okay? So if each student gets a fourth, my answer is how many students will be able to do this if I have 4 pieces of paper. So if I come over here and I cut them all into fourths, and I look at it and I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So what that means is if I have 4 pieces of paper, I have 16 kids can do the craft. We can do the origami together, as long as you don't mess it up because you only get 1 piece. So if I needed more, if I needed enough for 20 kids, I would have to add 1 more piece of paper. Because if I had 5 pieces of paper, and I divided by fourths, I would have 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So that would be 20. Then I would have enough for the whole class. Okay? So when you're dividing a whole number by a fraction, you're splitting your wholes into pieces. So your answer is going to be how many pieces do you have? How many pieces did you make? All right, one more. So I don't know, cookies? Birthday cake? Birthday cake, okay. Let's say I'm buying a birthday cake, and they tell me that the birthday cake can be cut into 8 pieces. That's a good amount to cut these birthday cakes into. They're small, okay? So I'm like, okay, they're small. So if I get 2 small cakes, And I want to divide the cakes into eighths so that I cut 8 pieces, so each piece is an eighth. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. So I'm going to cut 4 this way and 2 this way. So if I cut both cakes into eighths, how many pieces did I make? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I made 16 pieces. By now, you might be noticing something. 2 times 8 is 16. Just saying.